Bitcoin, turn off the news, ignore the news. The news is the worst way to determine the price action, and it is designed to throw you off. But today, I'm going to show you what you should be focusing on, and that's going to give you an edge on the market. So if you like today's content, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Let's dive into Bitcoin. So just the other day, even in my own Telegram group, there was news on the positive side, then boom, it turned to negative news. Talk about fear, uncertainty, and doubt, fear of missing out, emotions. It's crazy. So I simply do not watch the news. Don't want to know what the news is happening. The only information I need is the price action. Right? This is what I got taught. The methodology of Ralph Nelson Elliott wave theory back in the 1800s, 1900s. So there's only a handful of patterns that tend to unfold time and time again. And the information, the technical position can give us valuable insights. So what we're going to do, and by the way, what I'm going to share here today with the technical analysis, some of the Fibonacci price data, you can actually get access to this exact Bitcoin chart. Any updates I do, you will also get by joining my R15 Crypto Gym. You get a 7-day trial for £1. You'll not only get these charts, there's a few other charts as well. What we got here, we've got Bitcoin, BNB, Solana, Ethereum. You're also going to get an invite to my private Telegram group, but also you get a 7-day bootcamp. But we also do daily detailed workouts in crypto. And what I mean by that is detailed analysis, looking for high probability setups, mainly focused around BNB and Solana at the moment. But you'll get this Bitcoin chart as well. That's in the description link below. So make sure you take advantage of that. Loads of goodies, and we're adding more value as we go on. So when I'm looking at this price data, right, let's put the news aside. Whatever Tesla's doing, right, with Bitcoin, it didn't make that much of a difference in price, right? When we zoom out, what I'm looking at here is we have something called overlapping waves. This is a corrective structure. In other words, the market normally does a sprint, like a big sell-off, and then it needs a breather. So it's like a correction. It catches its breath. And then normally there's a continuation to the downside, or the continuation of the former trend. What other information do we have? Well, I have something called the stochastics RSI. It's a momentum indicator at the bottom, the blue and the red line. You'll notice that when the blue line crosses over the red, it tends to marry up quite nicely with these local highs, right? We can see that with the last two. So what should we anticipate with the next one? Well, same thing. What other information do we have that's just logical, simple, nothing too crazy that we can deduce from this, that we can conclude? Well, once these highs are made, how long does it go sideways to down? Well, if we take this one over here, we go, even from this one, we go, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, around 5 days sideways to down. From this one, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days sideways to down is the daily chart. So can we take that information and use it? We go, yeah, we can measure how long this took and project it forward from this high to say Bitcoin is likely to go sideways to down for at least this length of time. Also, let's look at some other rhythm cycles. Again, I'm just keeping it simple, right? Simple. Because all the news and, basically what we're measuring right now is the psychological mood of buying and selling behavior. And the news is baked in. All the mass participants are baked in. But when you're watching the news, it over exaggerates things and it skews what you can see, right? So you got to be really, really, really careful on kind of buying into the news. We can also look at this. We've got these low to low to low cycles, right? There's like a rhythm. There's a rhythm. It's like a beat. So we can also take that into consideration. So we can measure this low to, let's take the closing low. The closing low will be this one here, and project it forward. And we can also take this low to this low and project it forward. We'll see it literally overlaps. So basically saying Bitcoin should be sideways to down at least for another 3 days. At least another 3 days, 3-4 days. And it's probably going to reach this zone over here. Now, what we don't know is this going to be a correction and then a continuation to the upside? Or is it going to be a smaller correction to the upside, something like this, and then a continuation to the downside. So you can have trade strategies that take both into consideration. But the main thing is that I wanted to get across today is the news is noisy and is designed to throw you off. And just think how you feel when you hear the news when Tesla's selling Bitcoin, or I don't know. I was just reading some posts just in the Telegram group, and I was like, man, I feel for people. They're gonna get like ulcers, or they're gonna stress themselves out. Whereas we can just look at the technical position because it's more reliable, more predictable, and easier to work with. So what other information do we have here with Bitcoin? I'm going to pop out the daily chart. I'm going to go into the top left-hand corner where I keep my weekly chart. So when you, by the way, you get my charts, it'll look like this, and you can move them around, and then you can copy it into your own trading view as well. So this is a weekly chart, right? And I just want to zoom into the momentum on the weekly. All right. So what does this tell us, right? So if you're not used to momentum indicators, basically all of them do the same thing. There's around 1,000 of them. I like to use the stochastics RSI because it's simple, right? It's the blue and the red. Is the blue line above the red or is it below the red? All right. What it tells us is rate of change, and it measures rate of change. All momentum indicators measure rate of change. But what it tells us is that the weekly indicator is overbought or is becoming overbought. The blue line is overbought and the red line is becoming overbought. Basically means that they're above this black line, this 75 level, right? That's what we set it as. And when it's in this zone, it typically makes a top, and then the market tends to move sideways to down. How do we know that? Well, if we just zoom out like so, and we look at the former bearish reversals, we can see that when this momentum indicator made these bearish reversals, what was the price action doing? Well, the preceding weeks was sideways to down. A small amount of sideways to down, like an in-between, a correction to the correction. And then the next one was sideways to down. So do we believe it's going to have a big movement sideways to down? I don't think so. I think we're just coming towards the end of a major correction, a major, since November last year. I think we're going to have just one more rollover, and price probably not ending where we anticipated here. We're probably going to go to one more low over here. So why am I showing you this? Well, it's to have an edge on the market, and one of the best edges you can have is simply stop doing something, which is really paying special attention to the news, which is sometimes very distracting because we can just look at momentum, pattern, price, and time. So let's just finish on with one last thing. Let's go back into the daily chart. What is the likely outcome? Well, there's going to be two likely outcomes. The higher probability outcome based on the weekly momentum, the pattern position, some price analysis, is that the market is going to go on to finish off a major correction and do this in this green zone over here, right? That's the high probability. But it is also probable that this may happen, and then we may get a continuation up, which is the lesser probable outcome. So if you're trading Bitcoin, so I'm looking to short Bitcoin at the moment, is if the price does reach this zone over here, we can even do a price analysis. We can just do a simple retracement from this low to this high. Most corrections, we've tagged it already. Oh, actually, no, we haven't. We want the 50%. Most corrections reach a minimum of at least 50%. Into this zone over here, take some profits, make sure we're risk-free, protect capital, etc., etc. We'll do one last thing as well. Let me just see where the retracement for this high to this low takes us as well. Yeah, the 62% takes us into that region as well, so I'll keep that up as well. So it's to be aware of this zone. It's a bit detailed, I know. But what I'm really doing here is what we're doing when we're doing technical analysis using Elliott wave, momentum. We got price Fibonacci ratios and Fibonacci time. By the way, when you join the R15 Crypto Gym, you get access to a 7-day boot camp. I call it the Crypto Gym Boot Camp. Part of your 7-day trial, you're going to get 7 days of training. And when you click on day one, you'll get released daily. And what you'll look at and what you'll see is an introduction to Elliott Wave, some of the key lessons in Elliott Wave. And then from day 2, day 3, start introducing Fibonacci price. So you really get the understanding of the foundation of what really drives the markets. Because most people think it's news, it's fundamentals. We go, look, it's just people betting on the price. There's a mass herd crowd psychology, and people are betting on the price. And when there's a fear in the market, it goes down. And when there's euphoria in the market, especially extreme euphoria, then there's massive drives up and there's in between. So we're just measuring that. So here what we're doing is we're measuring the psychological mood and saying, look, it's highly probable that Bitcoin is going to reach here. We need to reevaluate to see what the price action is doing, and then we can make some conclusions on the lower degree time frame. But if the price does also overlap into this closing range, basically into the range of the former wave, into this former wave, if it overlaps into this, that's also another sign of weakness, and that gives us more confidence that this high over here is probably going to hold, and that we're likely going to see the price move up, but then continue to the downside. So today's real focus was psychological mood of buying and selling behavior is what drives the price, not the news. So it's hard though. I know it's hard to switch off the news. You know, I'm probably one of the very few people that my wife knows that just doesn't watch the news, right? I go, look, it serves no purpose to me. If I need to know, someone else will tell me. But especially when you're buying and selling crypto, because it just messes with your head. So join me with tomorrow's workout. Get access to the Bitcoin chart. So you'll get it straight away once you do the crypto gym. But also Solana's workout tomorrow and the BNB workout. Some really, really nice setups. But it's really the technique and really understanding how to think in probabilities and never certainties. Very, very cool indeed. We're getting great feedback with this. So like, subscribe, hit the bell notification if you found today valuable. Let's finish on a quote. We're going with chapter 3 today. Get some wisdom into us. Wisdom from Confucius. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. Anything that's worthwhile learning, it doesn't come overnight. But what I love to do is keep things very, very simple, is to learn double momentum strategies, Elliott wave theory, just learning that markets typically move in 5s and 3s. And if you can identify those in advance, then all of a sudden you're in a different league. Then there's these different pattern and reversal signals that the market does, which represents the psychology, how the market and the mass herd is thinking. And if we can just constantly go with that edge, that probability, we become the casino, and then we are 2 steps ahead of the market, as opposed to people watching the news only, especially only, then they're 2 steps behind the market. And the markets are a zero-sum game, meaning people win and people lose. It's like a game of tennis. For there to be a winner, there must be a loser. It's a zero-sum game. So we want to be on the winning side. And the winning side means we need an edge. Can we get something that gives us an advantage over others? And I found the technicals is one of the best ways when you're using Elliott Wave, Fibonacci price, Fibonacci time, but also tie that in with momentum. And that can be very, very powerful indeed. So join me tomorrow for tomorrow's workout in the R15 Crypto Gym. £1, you get a nice 7-day trial. And I think you'll love it. But check it out. It's a low risk trial. But if you love it, then you can stay. I've got some great things planned for this year and the coming years as well.